You know, there's a lot of things that go on across the nation that are very important to our growth. Schools have to grow. We've got to provide great education to them, and charter schools have become the forefront in leading some of that initiative. However, charter schools don't necessarily have to follow the same rules and regulations that the rest of us have to follow. They appear to be basically exempt from a lot of that, and I'm not an expert on that, and the only reason I've learned a lot of this is because there's a large charter school named Basis looking to move into a small residential area in Castle Hills. The place that they've chosen is just not adequate for what they're trying to do. I'm all for them coming to Castle Hills, as many of our neighbors are, but they need to pick a location that's not going to basically impact old neighborhoods. They need to pick a location that's not going to impact the infrastructure of a small community. However, they don't have to follow those same rules. They don't have to have those concerns, those worries, because they're exempt from those. I look at my personal experiences living here in Castle Hills. You know, I moved in here a little over 15 years ago, and I've been remodeling my house. I've followed all the zoning regulations. I've followed all the laws. I've done everything I personally could to make sure that my property meets their needs. They don't have to do that. They can basically come in to a residentially zoned property, put a school down that's designed to house 1,100 students, and reroute everything around it. I mean, they're talking about what great neighbors they're going to be, but their concerns are, hey, we're going to reroute sewage, we're going to come up with a traffic plan, we're going to do all these things. Well, if you've got to look at all that, that tells you your site is not perfect for the situation and you need to find another site. If you look at this location and its history, this is a piece of property that was owned by a local church, and basically the city and the church spent years in litigation, and the end result was turning this piece of property into a sports area, a place for the kids to use. But the church has now decided to sell it, and all of that decree and all of that law work, the new school Basis doesn't have to follow that. It's not applicable to them because there's holes in our legislation that allows them to come in and basically bypass all those laws. That's wrong. That's not what that's designed for. This is a residential neighborhood that sits on a two-lane street. They talk about, well, we're going to reroute traffic and we're going to do all that. Look at this road. I mean, you're talking about a two-lane road. How in anybody's mind can you think you can run 2,000 and 3,000 cars down this? Well, they talk about, well, we're going to block the road. Well, when you block the road, all the neighborhood behind it has to reroute their traffic. Why should we adjust for you when this is a residentially zoned area? We shouldn't have to. Talk about rerouting sewage. Well, I could care less which way your poop is going. You know why? Because you should be able to put it at a location that you tie into it, not move it, up for a mile. This location, and I'm sure many others for charter schools across the nation, just doesn't fit. But they've chosen this location because, number one, they can come in and pick it up cheaper than they could anywhere else, which helps their bottom line, but they can care less about the neighborhood around them. They're not listening to the people that are going to be the most affected to it. They're not hearing that message of, we don't want them here. You know what? There's plenty of great locations here. I hope that Basis comes to Castle Hills, but pick a location that makes sense. Pick a location that's not going to impact the town. Pick a location that's not going to impact the taxpayers, and pick a location that you're going to follow all the rules and not have to do what we've had to do for years, which is live within those rules. Be smart. Go someplace else. Change the legislation so that charter schools can't come in and bully small towns.